U.S. President Donald Trump said on Thursday that he will leave the White House when the Electoral College votes for Democratic President-elect Joe Biden, the closest the outgoing president has come to conceding defeat. The electors will cast their votes on December 14th, formalizing the election outcome.
So if the Electoral College does elect President-elect Joe Biden, are you not going to leave this building?
Just so you, certainly I will. Certainly I will. And you know that.
President-elect Joe Biden won the November election with 306 Electoral College votes, well over the 270 required, to Trump's 232. Biden also leads Trump by more than 6 million in the popular vote tally. Trump has so far refused to concede defeat, but instead continues to make baseless claims about alleged voter fraud. He's launched legal attempts to challenge the outcomes in several states, such as Pennsylvania and Michigan. Some of these have already been thrown out by the courts.
We know there was massive fraud.
After the traditional president's Thanksgiving Day address to U.S. service members, Trump told White House reporters it would be a, quote, very hard thing to concede, and declined to say whether he would attend Biden's inauguration, due for January 20th. Earlier this week, the General Services Administration, or the agency that greenlights presidential transitions, told Biden he could formally begin the handover process, indicating Trump's possible readiness to move forward with procedure. However, Trump's refusal to officially concede the election could disrupt efforts by Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris to tackle the escalating health crisis. After the Electoral College casts their votes, Congress will count the official tally on January 6th.
Germany passed a grim coronavirus milestone Friday, with infections surpassing 1 million, according to data from the Robert Koch Institute. The figures show that Germany was, at best, keeping new infections stable, which Chancellor Angela Merkel has said would not suffice to ease restrictions and eliminate the risk of overwhelming hospitals. The number of confirmed coronavirus cases increased by over 22,800. However, that was around 840 fewer new cases than a week ago. The reported death toll rose by 426 to 15,586, a daily record. That number was at 260 a week ago and at just 49 on November 2nd, the day the lockdown light was launched. Bars, restaurants, theatres and fitness studios are closed, but schools and shops remain open. From December 1st, private gatherings will be slashed to 5 people from 10. Over Christmas, that number will rise to 10 again across most of the country, although families are being urged to avoid social contact for a week ahead of visits. Berlin, one of the hardest hit cities in Germany, has said it would not ease restrictions over Christmas. On Thursday, Merkel said the country will probably have to stick with measures well into January, while her chief of staff suggested that restrictions might be needed until March.
South Korea's intelligence agency foiled North Korean attempts to hack into South Korean companies developing coronavirus vaccines, according to officials. Ha Tae-kung, a member of the Parliamentary Intelligence Committee, said on Friday that they were briefed by the National Intelligence Service, NIS. The agency did not specify how many and which drug makers were targeted. Ha said the NIS confirmed there was no damage from the hacking attempt. The revelation came after Microsoft said early this month that hackers working for the Russian and North Korean governments have tried to break into the networks of 7 pharmaceutical companies and vaccine researchers in Canada, France, India, South Korea, and the United States. Ha and another lawmaker said North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had taken some, quote, unreasonable actions due to COVID-19 paranoia. They said those actions included banning fishing and salt production because of fears that seawater might have been contaminated with the virus. North Korea has not confirmed any coronavirus infection, but the NIS had said an outbreak there cannot be ruled out, as the country had active trade and people-to-people exchanges with China before closing the border in late January. An Iranian diplomat and 3 other Iranians went on trial in Belgium on Friday, accused of planning a bomb attack in France in 2018. This is the first time an EU country has put an Iranian official on trial for terrorism. Belgian prosecutors charged Vienna-based diplomat Assadullah Assadi and 3 others with plotting an attack on a rally of the Paris-based National Council of Resistance of Iran, also known as NCRI. In the event, US President Donald Trump's lawyer Rudy Giuliani gave a keynote speech. Authorities say the attack was foiled by a coordinated operation between French, German, and Belgian security services. Farsin Hashimi is the deputy chairman of the NCRI Foreign Affairs Committee.
Today, this is a historical day. After 40 years of export of terrorism and involving in acts of terrorism in Europe and elsewhere, for the first time, an official of the Iranian regime, a so-called diplomat, is putting on trial. So we are very happy that finally justice is being done.
Assadi was arrested while on holiday in Germany and handed over to Belgium. He is refusing to appear in court and did not attend the first day of trial in Antwerp. He has not commented on the charges. Here's his lawyer, Dimitri Debeko.
My client asked me to represent him today. He let me know that he has the fullest respect for these judges, but as he considers that he should benefit from immunity, they are not allowed to judge him, also because his defense rights were not respected since the beginning of the procedure.
Assadi was the 3rd counselor at Iran's embassy in Vienna. French officials have said he was in charge of intelligence in southern Europe and was acting on orders from Tehran. The Islamic Republic has repeatedly dismissed the charges, calling the attack allegations a, quote, false flag stunt by the NCRI, which it considers a terrorist group.
13 Australian Special Forces soldiers face dismissal because of their connection to alleged unlawful killings in Afghanistan, according to Australia's head of army on Friday. An independent report published last week revealed that Australian soldiers killed 39 unarmed civilians and prisoners in Afghanistan between 2005 and 2016. Australian Lieutenant General Rick Burr on Friday did not identify the soldiers being dismissed, but he said they were not part of the 19 current and former soldiers who face possible criminal charges for the alleged killings.
At this time, 13 individuals have been issued administrative action notices in relation to the Afghanistan inquiry. At this point in time, no individuals have been separated from the Australian Defence Force. Administrative action includes receiving a notice proposing to terminate the individual's service.
Burr said the 13 soldiers that face dismissal have 2 weeks to respond to the notice.
We are all holding ourselves to account as an organisation, and we will work through this in a proper way.
Last week's report revealed that senior commandos may have forced junior soldiers to kill defenseless captives in order to prepare them for combat. This alleged practice is called blooding. The inquiry examined more than 20,000 documents and 25,000 images and interviewed over 400 witnesses under oath. Australia's most senior military official apologized to Afghanistan last week after the release of the report.
Trade relations between China and Australia chilled further on Friday. Australia responded defiantly to Beijing imposing anti-dumping tariffs on its wine. China says it will impose temporary tariffs of between 107% and 212% on wine imported from Australia, starting immediately. The Australian government said it was deeply disappointed. On Friday, Trade Minister Simon Birmingham spoke out against the move.
This is a devastating blow to those businesses who trade with China in the wine industry. It will render unviable for many businesses their wine trade with China. And clearly, we think it is unjustified and without evidence to back it up.
China began an anti-dumping probe in August at the request of the Chinese Alcoholic Drinks Association. But in Canberra, the decision was viewed as part of a pattern of trade measures since Australia called for an inquiry into the origins of the coronavirus. This year, China has imposed tariffs on Australian barley, suspended meat imports, and Chinese importers were told to expect custom delays across 7 categories of Australian products. They range from coal to seafood. China takes 37% of Australia's total wine exports, an industry Australia says is worth over $2 billion.
Skiers have hit the slopes in Switzerland as this year's ski season begins. They arrive despite an ongoing second coronavirus wave in Europe. But on the other side of the famed Swiss Alps, in a French ski village, it's a different story. Chairlifts stay still, with no hope of restarting until at least January, as the country goes through a second lockdown. Mathieu Deschavin is CEO of a cable car company in Chamonix.
We struggle to understand closing the resorts, especially since competing ski areas are open in Spain, in Switzerland, in Austria, and that the museums in lockdown are opening soon.
It's an issue that's dividing countries in Europe. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said Thursday she wants Alpine countries to keep resorts shut, but she warned reaching an agreement with Austria over it has been tough. The Austrian lockdown ends on December 7th, and resorts there plan to open by Christmas.
The ski season is approaching and we will try to reach an agreement in Europe on whether we can close all the ski resorts. Unfortunately, it does not look like this will be so easy if you listen to what Austria is saying, but we will try again.
Austria's finance minister said earlier this week that the EU should cover losses, which they estimate to potentially reach around $2.4 billion, if the bloc forces skiing sites to stay closed. However, the EU Commission said it's up to countries themselves to allow skiing for the season.